Hello, everybody. I'd like to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the Transgender Center of the Rockies, a program of Mile High Behavioral Healthcare. They are this season's Authenticity Ambassador, and we thank them for their support. I would also like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Me Limbo podcast, for being our authenticity advocate. Find them wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to Being You, an SPH Productions presentation. My name is Shane Hodges, licensed professional counselor and author of It's Time to Be You, How to Become Your Most Authentic Self. My guest today is Mondo Guerra, fashion designer and amazing human being. Thank you so much for being here, Mondo.
Hi, Shane. Thank you for having me.
I like to start with a rapid fire Q&A. I take about 60 seconds, ask as many quick answer questions as I can, and see how many we get through in that amount of time. Are we ready?
Yeah, let's go.
First kiss.
Oh, God. Probably when I was 13 behind a movie theater with a girl named Michelle
Guilty pleasure.
laying on the couch.
Who's your diva?
Oh, my God. Do I have a diva? I mean, does Pee Wee Herman count as a diva?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Who's nicer, Tim or Heidi?
Geez, that's a hard one, but Tim.
How old were you when you came out?
18.
A cheesy movie that you love.
Oh, my God. Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Favorite Project Runway designer?
Besides me? I mean, I like so many of them, and this is a loaded question because I like them for different reasons. But
Agreed. I get
somebody that is just like creative designer and construction wise, I would choose Victor Luna.
Okay. And a celebrity you would like to dress?
Oh God, I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know. I like dressing people that I feel like are me aesthetically. I've been dressing Julio Torres and Sarah Sherman lately, so I think those are probably like my go-tos. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, let's get into a little bit more about what you do. I already mentioned you are a fashion designer. You were on Project Runway season 8, runner-up, correct?
Yes.
And then you were the winner of the first season of All Stars. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You also did Under the Gun with Tim Gunn, and you were a mentor on that one. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So give us a little feedback. What were those experiences like, and in what way, if any, did they guide or change your design aesthetic?
I think going into season 8, I was just very, I guess, scared. I didn't know what I was really getting myself into. I will say this, when I saw Jay McCarroll win the first season of Project Runway, I'm going to go on there and I'm going to win this. But getting on the show, I was scared. I was so scared. I'm not very good at meeting new people, especially groups of people. And the thing about it is that we had cameras on us, so that was brand new. I had asked my mom for the cash to get my bags on the plane. I missed my flight for the first.
Oh, wow.
I had to call the producers. It was a really rough start. Kind of set the tone for the first half of the show. It was very difficult to the point where I hadn't had the experience of living with roommates, so that on top of just being scared and shocked, so I isolated myself. And looking back, obviously that's not the best way to approach a situation, to isolate yourself. You just set yourself up for failure, and that's definitely where I felt I was. It wasn't to a point where I had to consciously decide to be part of this, I would call it an experiment, because that's what it feels like. And that day I was just like, you're here, this is an opportunity. Either you participate or you're going to, just like, you might as well just go home. So I decided to participate, and that really changed the whole dynamic of the competition for me. And it turned out to be one of the most exciting, one of the most fun, life-changing experiences that I've ever had. Even to this day, I think that moment really did change my life. And I love everybody in the cast. It was just great. I left that show feeling accomplished and feeling confident and respected and seen, like a great following and fan base. And that's something I had never experienced before. People just
Hmm.
recognizing me for not only what my talent was, but also who I was just as a person.
How did you handle that when you started to have a following and people recognized you?
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought strange that people that you don't know are coming up to you and saying hello and diving into your personal story. And you don't
Hmm.
really know who they are, but they know who you are. That's
Right.
strange, but it didn't bother me. Back then, that was still very much Facebook. Was
Hmm.
Instagram wasn't much of a thing yet. So I think that would have changed the dynamic a little bit because people on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they have a lot more to say. And I just feel like it's gotten
Hmm.
worse that people have a lot of opinions that they're not afraid to
Hmm.
share, whether it's
Yep.
valid or constructive.
I'm wondering, in your position as someone who has a following, how do you feel about and or handle the social media aspect of things?
Lately, I've been commenting a lot more on things that, on posts that I see and things that I feel are authentic. And I also keep in mind that it's just an opinion from my experiences. When I comment on something, it's on something that I feel I know a little bit about. And
Mm.
the comments that are back, there's hardly any negative comments back to me. They're like a lot of likes and like agreeing with
Okay.
me. But other than that, I post my work. I don't post anything personal, really. I don't have an alt. I don't have an alt Instagram either. So it's
Yeah.
just Mondo Guerra. And that's it. That's what I'm surviving on. And it's enough. I don't need any more.
Yes. I understand. Well, I want to know, what do you want people to know in terms of what you're doing these days?
I'm still very much creating. I feel like creativity is my true authentic self. It's my air, it's my water. It keeps me
Hmm.
alive. And still doing creative projects, working with private clientele. I work with a lot of drag queens from Drag Race, which is also another big project in itself because it's always figuring out how to execute designs, and it's
Hmm.
from fashion design, but it's also giving in a way where I figure out how to produce certain looks and how that can trickle down into the fashion aspect of my life.
Hmm.
That's very exciting. But the one thing that I take away from all of my experience, and especially from Project Runway, and let's be honest, everything that you do in life just really builds up to where you're at now. And I always
Absolutely.
fully believe in honoring your foundation. I'm very grateful to have the ability to choose projects I want to work on. When I was younger, I didn't have that opportunity. So I think at this point in my life, I'm just really grateful to be able to choose projects, to be presented with projects that I'm excited about.
I want to touch on something because you mentioned the word authenticity in there and creating what is authentic to you. Years ago, when you still lived in Denver, I always saw you as someone who was presenting authentically, and not just in your fashion. That was a huge part of it, but just in general. And then I was really impressed when I saw your season of Project Runway because you were so authentic. One of the things that was so impressive to me was that you came out about something on the
Mm.
show. And as soon as I saw the show, the thing that stuck to my mind was, okay, this was recorded at some point, it aired later.
Mm.
And I've always wondered, what was it like for you in that period between the recording and knowing that you had just done that and it coming out?
So on my season, I think that was challenge number 7 or 8, maybe. So it was probably a month into recording. So I had already found my footing on just the process and rolling
Mm-hmm.
and understanding the dynamic of room and also the dynamic of the judges. I don't think that was an advantage, to be honest. But when we filmed that particular runway, it was just about sink or swim for me. I just felt very safe in the space where I knew that I could talk honestly about the inspiration that I presented.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I was in a space where no matter what happened, people would hear. People would hear my story.
Mm-hmm.
They might not understand my story. They might not like my story, but they would hear and they would allow me to let that go. And I just felt very, again, just very safe to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
After we recorded it, we had to go back home for a month to build our final collection. Our season was airing while we were still working on our final collection. So I was dealing with all that. I didn't have a lot of time to think about, oh my gosh, what's going to happen when this
Gotcha.
airs? So going into the, what do you call it, the when airing of the episode of
Mm-hmm.
that episode, I just prepared myself by talking to my parents the night before it aired, and they took it very well. And it was just such another life changing moment. I'm telling you, during season 8, there were so many life changing moments. It brought us closer. And
Mm-hmm.
the next day at the beauty bar, we had a huge fundraiser with a lot of different creative people from around Denver that contributed work and services. And we raised a ton of money for Colorado AIDS Project. It was just so exciting, and just the love and the support that I got from the Denver community was amazing. And again, Facebook days, I had thousands and thousands of comments and thousands of emails. And I think I probably got maybe 2 or 3 negative out of that many. And it just really shocked me. I thought it was going to be a very
Mm-hmm.
negative moment for a lot of people. But I was just really comfortable in the fact that there was so much support and understanding, and people wanted to know more about my experience and more about,
Mm-hmm.
HIV/AIDS, and that was another life changing moment.
I want to ask about that. In addition to the HIV, I saw that you also have something called primary biliary cholangitis, if I said that correctly.
Yeah.
How has either of those affected you? And what would you like to share in terms of your advocacy work on both?
Right. Well, I am known as an HIV advocate. I personally don't have PBC, which is a chronic liver disease.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was approached to participate in this campaign, PBC, all the fillings, I was very excited
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like it being a chronic disease and something that people have to wake up with and go through the emotions and have the relationship with this disease. There is a lot of similar crossover in the emotional part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it was an opportunity to use fashion as a vehicle to start a conversation. And that's how I started my own advocacy. So I thought that it was a really great fit. One of the most exciting things that I did in the campaign were to meet people living with PBC and use their stories to inspire a look.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another gift. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just so grateful that I'm able to have these opportunities where I choose these projects that are meaningful and,
Mm-hmm.
have substance and value and continue conversations about things that people don't know about. I mean, did you know what PBC was before we started talking about this? And
No.
there are people living with PBC and that are on an everyday. So it was such an honor to not only meet my muses, but also bring
Mm-hmm.
to the cause through art. And I think that is such an amazing thing, amazing gift.
Well, let me ask about that comment just there. With regard to muses,
Hmm.
you've obviously You've been on Project Runway and All Stars, you've dressed drag queens, you've got your line. How does a muse inspire you or impact the result?
Muses come in different ways. I think there are muses that guide you and support you and whisper in your ear, tell you how to tackle a situation and how to dream bigger. But then there's also physical muses that inspire you and encourage you to get your hands in there and just do it. My biggest physical muse, my major muse now is Crystal Method. She's like
Okay.
cut from the same cloth. A quick story about Crystal. She was on season 11 or 12. I don't remember, to be honest. But she was on the season with Jackie Cox. And Jackie
Mm-hmm.
on that season was one of my major clients. I did, I don't know, six or seven.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun. But when Jackie came back, I was doing her promo look for the season, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, there's this girl. Her name is Crystal. When you guys meet, you guys are just gonna knock it out of the park." And so she was excited about that relationship, and I had no idea who she was talking about because I hadn't seen the show. The show started airing. I immediately fell in love with Crystal and what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, fast forward to the very end for the finale of that season. I did her finale lip sync for your life look. Also, this was during COVID,
Nice.
remember? So we
Okay.
didn't bidding, we didn't do any of that. I just built it, sent it out to her. And that was our relationship for about 2 years where I was just building stuff and sending it out to her.
Oh,
And just,
wow.
yeah, so just communication through visuals and text.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, 2 years later, I met her and we just totally hit it off. And we're a really good collaborative team.
It's
And
great to hear.
I love working with Crystal. And I don't know if it's just because we understand her aesthetically so well,
Mm-hmm.
but she just gives me so much space to do what I want for her as a designer. And it's not a creative relationship where I feel stifled. It's a very healthy creative relationship. And that is also, listen, that is also a life changing experience in itself.
I can imagine. Well, let's get a little bit more into personal things. You used to live in Denver. Did you grow up here or were you born here?
I grew up in Denver. I grew up off of 64th and Sheridan. And I went
Oh,
to
okay.
Edison Knowles Elementary, and Miss Ansberry, if you're out there, she was my kindergarten teacher. Please say hello. I've been looking for you for I don't know how many years. How old am I? I think for I've been looking for you for 32, 33 years now. I don't know where you're at. And also Miss Eberhardt, my music teacher, love you, miss you. Then I went to Hodgkins Middle School for a couple years, which was the most miserable time of my life. When me growing up being a confused gay, I don't know,
Yeah.
just creative person. I don't know. Sixth and seventh
Mm-hmm.
are the worst. It was awful.
Mm.
Then to Denver School of the Arts in eighth grade, and I went there for the last 5 years of my academic career. I don't know.
Yep.
Uh, then in high school, I lived in Denver in the North Side, and that was just such a great experience to be exposed to different
Mm-hmm.
types of bodies and different colors and things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And now we are in New York.
Now I live in Brooklyn, and
Nice.
people always, do you want to move back to Denver? I would love to move back to Denver. I like Denver. My family's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a chiller way of life. You're not on top
Yeah.
of people all the time. You don't have to sit next to strangers every day of your life. You don't have to wait in lines. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but New York is a place where I can thrive because of, and purely only because of resources. There are things where I
Gotcha.
I know that we can order stuff online and all that stuff, but I am in my field, and at least for me, my process, I'm a very tactile kind of guy that needs
Yep.
things in my hands to figure stuff out. And so for that, I am very happy to be in Brooklyn, but I am also considering a move back to the West Coast and going to LA.
Okay.
So what happens? I
Okay.
first here in 1999 for about 6 years, and then I back
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably when we met, or at least we're
Yeah.
running around in the same circles. And then I moved back to New York about 10 years ago. And it's a different experience
Okay.
when you move back after having some kind of success and you have a little bit more money in the bank and you're
Mm-hmm.
a little bit older. It's a little
Yep.
different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Agreed.
nice, but it's also wearing on me. Seriously, wearing on me.
Well, what would 15-year-old Mondo feel about your current version of you?
Well, 15-year-old Mondo was in school as a piano major and practicing piano all the time. He
Okay.
loved music and he loved writing music, and he was just like engulfed in creativity. He was a very competitive person as well. I think I've always just been a very competitive person because my mom was a creative person that never gave herself credit. She didn't identify herself as a creative person, but she was good at it, like really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught
Yep.
me, but being competitive has always been in my blood. I think if I met myself now as a 15-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
probably I would consider myself interesting. I would like, okay, this guy's interesting. He's
Yep.
cool. I think I like him because he has these experiences. He has a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
stories to share with me, and he's patient with me. And I think that he always is
Nice.
somebody that I can go to, share ideas with, and not be afraid of the feedback. Because whether it's good or bad, it's going to allow me to explore and understand and challenge myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
are always the things that I really looked up to when I was younger, even
Mm-hmm.
old, when I was talking about Miss Ansbury and also Miss Eberhart in fifth grade. These were adults that I always looked forward to seeing and sharing things with
Mm-hmm.
because they created a space where I was able to ask questions and get honest feedback that was
Mm. Yeah.
encouraging and explorative.
So when did the switch from music to fashion occur?
That happened after I graduated, and
Ah, okay.
I was supposed to go to school for composition. I wanted to write music for film. That was my big dream. But that didn't happen. But after I graduated, I found the rave scene in Denver, and that
Mm-hmm.
again was a life-changing experience. That community was just so loving and creative and
Mm-hmm.
energetic and colorful, and it just taught me so much. I was always a creative person, but then when I found the rave scene, there were a lot of things that became real, that became tactile. Like all the ideas that I had
Gotcha.
in my head became real, and that's when I really started figuring out how to execute bigger ideas.
Gotcha. Well, at this point in your life, what can you say you are proud
Oh, geez, I don't know. That should be really easy to answer.
of?
Proud that I'm able to confidently say hello to a stranger. I would say that. That might sound really cheesy, but it's true.
Not
Uh,
at all.
I'm proud that, I mean, there's things that I look back on and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe
Mm-hmm.
I had that experience. Of course, all those experiences on Project Runway, I'm proud that I did that. I'm proud that I was able to share that with my family and my friends. That makes me really proud. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud that they learn so much more about me through that process and are able to share my experiences with people around them, which is creating more conversation
Mm-hmm.
around what I live with and what I'm going to continue to live with throughout my life. I'm proud that I have a platform that I'm able to continue to share my story. And I'm proud that people are still interested in my story. I'm proud that I'm able to still talk about my experiences. And maybe the draw is Project Runway, but there's so much more life experience that has come before that. And
Yep.
come after that, and
Absolutely.
it's been pretty exciting, overwhelming, scary, all the emotions.
I understand. Well, as I've mentioned, a big part of what I do is authenticity. I wrote a book last year about it. In my counseling work, I do a lot about it. So, one of the things I like to ask all of my guests is the wow segment of our program, we call it the words of wisdom. What would you like to share with others in regard to being your most authentic self?
I think for me, my authentic self comes through sharing ideas and sharing creativity. I think that it's important to share your story, allow people to hear it, and not be afraid of it. I honestly feel like sharing your story is one of the most important things in life. Another thing that I always tell interns or younger people that I'm working with is don't ever forget your foundation. Your foundation is your core. Whatever that looks like, whatever that means to you, you can apply that to yourself every single day and every little thing and every big thing that you want to accomplish. And that will help you survive so much, I promise you. And it looks different for a lot of people, but always understand your foundation,
Absolutely.
honor your foundation. And I think the last thing I'd say is that a lot of the things that I experienced through being a creative person on television is that people will approach you and be like, I don't know how you do it. You come up with all these ideas. How are you creative? How do you
Yeah,
continue to do this? And I think that there's so much power in creativity. And creativity, again, looks different for so many different people. Creativity is just about figuring out how to get from point A to point B. How do you execute this scary, overwhelming, daunting thing? And if you want to take creativity into an artistic realm, do it. I encourage you.
hmm,
All your execution ideas and abilities and create art.
love that. Well, what would you like to share in terms of socials, website, information on how to find you and or what's coming up next for you?
Right. So on Instagram, I'm Mondo Guerra. On TikTok, which I'm never there, but I do have an idea about this, and if I can tell you about that really quick. So I have three huge shoe boxes of photographs. Do you remember what photographs are? I don't know, like
Oh yeah, I have that.
know what photographs are, but I have like three boxes of TikTok. I thought because I don't post very much, I was thinking about maybe a weekly where I run my finger across the box and just pull out a picture randomly,
Ah,
kind of talk about what that moment was and what was happening. And listen,
yep,
there are things in there that I haven't even shared with close friends. So
yep,
it could get messy. But the fun part about life, it could get messy. You know what I mean?
exactly that.
And then also website is www. Do you even say www anymore? I don't think you say.
I
I
don't,
think you say Mondo
some
Guerra.
people still do.
Okay, well I do. MondoGuerra.com. It's just all Mondo Guerra. So if you just look up my name, you're gonna
Right.
find projects
Yes.
up. Oh gosh, there's listen, there's a lot of projects that are coming up that I can't talk about. If you're into it and if you know who I am, you probably know what I'm talking about, but those things will be revealed very soon. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to chat with me. And it's nice to reconnect after many, many years. Again, this is Being You, SPH Productions presentation. My name is Shane Hodges, licensed professional counselor and author of It's Time to Be You. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day and be yourselves. Take care, everybody. Thanks again to the Transgender Center of the Rockies for being this season's Authenticity Ambassador. We appreciate all the work you do. Check them out at transgendercenteroftherockies.org.